So you want to be a paladin. Sorry about that. 1 second. Hey. Yeah, that was pretty sweet, wasn't it? Yeah. Are you? I was just gonna say firing me, but that makes more sense, I guess. Uh-huh. What? A pa? A pa? Pal? Hey everybody, it's Luke from Nerdcraft HQ, where I build some cool stuff that you might be able to see better now, and paint minis as well, but unfortunately they're a bit higher, so you can't really see them. But that's not why we're here to talk today. We are here to talk today about playing a paladin in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I should probably mention two things. One, I play at my table with homebrew rules, and those might not work for your table or campaign. You can just ignore those rules or don't worry about them or whatever, or complain about them in the comments. Doesn't matter to me. And two, I love paladins almost as much as I love clerics, and so there's definitely going to be a lot of bias within this video. But hey, it's just my opinion, and that's what I'm here to do, is talk about paladins. So let's get started. Like I mentioned earlier, Paladin is one of my favorite classes, and I'm not going to go over how to play a naughty Paladin because I covered that basic idea in my Cleric video, and so if you want to know that, you should check that out after watching this video. But what I will talk about is having a good cause. So Paladins are these holy or unholy warriors, these divine bringers of Smite. They are the oath-keeping show of force for a god, and it is really important for them to have some sort of cause. In my opinion, the major difference between a paladin and a cleric is that a paladin might be more on the front lines of battle, and also they might have a cause, like I mentioned before, that they are fighting for, a very specific cause, and the more that we outline the paladin, the more that will make sense and come into play later. When considering what that cause may be, just think about a driving factor that you as a player can invest in. I consider Paladin to be a more long-term commitment in terms of role-playing and storytelling to get that satisfaction. Having a strong call to action can give you the gusto to play that Paladin to the fullest. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to play a serious Paladin. You can play a relaxed Paladin. Just consider that your DM or the world that they have built for you and that you're playing in might have a certain set of expectations or a certain prestige that comes with playing a paladin. In terms of a quick build, as much as I like the idea of a ranged paladin, there is one major drawback, and that is Divine Smite. To use Divine Smite, you have to hit with a melee weapon attack. So it's important, or it's probably a good idea at least, to make strength your highest ability score. And since you are a charisma-based spellcaster, charisma as your second highest score. In terms of a third, you could choose dexterity if you still want to maintain that versatility of kind of getting away from the battle. Or alternatively, if you want to get close up into the combat, you could choose constitution and buff your health points a little bit. It just depends on what you want to do. As far as a background is concerned, it seems like that list of backgrounds is growing and growing by the month. I would say just choose one that sounds cool or that brings you some kind of benefit and roll with it. It's really not a huge deal. And if you really are stuck with that, again, consider your origin story that you have made for yourself and see how that factors into the whole background. So a good way to sort out which fighting style you want to choose would be to look back at your background or your origin story, and that could maybe help inform you what you want to do. In the player's handbook, it lists defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, and protection, all of which give you great benefits, but there are like 15 or 20 more that exist that I suggest that you read about. In my opinion though, the greatest two benefits of being a paladin are lay on hands and divine smite. Hi, yes, I'm here to administer myself health points directly from my god. Also, by the way, that same divine highway is going to be delivering some damage later, just so you know. I think that lay on hands could be beefed up just a little tiny bit, and I realized that could get out of hand very, very quickly. I actually think that lay on hands is scaled pretty well as you level up. I just happen to be really greedy. I think my favorite ways of using lay on hands is probably, well, saving it as a last resort, right? Kind of in combat and you're running out of spell slots or whatever. But I think the absolute best way to use lay on hands is bringing someone back to consciousness mid-battle. I think that's super awesome and a really easy way to do that. Divine Smite, on the other hand, is borderline overpowered, especially if you're not the only healer in the party. If you have an extra spell slot or two, you are literally the DPS distributor of your party. Hey, guess what? Stable's called. They want their distribution rights back. Jokes aside, you won't catch me complaining about that. Honestly, either in front of the screen or behind the screen, I am super okay with that. More power to the Paladin. But speaking of power, Sacred Oaths are the subclass for the Paladin, and to me, for whatever reason, it feels like the Oaths are really important to the story and the growth of your character. Honestly, they just feel more important. It feels like a more important subclass than other classes, subclasses. I'm sure that I'm projecting here. But regardless, it's list time, so here are the Oaths. We have Oath of the Ancients, Oath of Conquest, Oath of the Crown, Oath of Devotion, Oath of Heroism, Oath of Redemption, Oath of Treachery, Oath of Vengeance, Oath of Watchers, and Oath Breaker. Of that list, I would say that Oath of Vengeance is probably my favorite one. All of these sacred oaths come with their own channel divinity abilities, and they're pretty sweet. They range from turning your weapon basically into a flashlight and adding charisma to your attack roll, to targeting one undead creature, and if it fails a saving throw, it obeys your commands for 24 hours. So, needless to say, there are some really cool channel divinity abilities. Your Paladin at this point is nearly ready for the table. If you want to be a Paladin, just prepare yourself for a lot of concentration spells, but also prepare yourself for the occasion where you get to deal 5d8 extra Divine Smite damage. The more I think about concluding the videos in this series, the more I think that there's kind of one major takeaway, and that is just to have fun. Don't let other people's opinions or judgments thwart you from a fun or weird idea. And if you're a DM, don't be afraid to bend or even break the rules to facilitate that fun. I often find myself making mistakes and correcting them mid-game. I promise you, the players aren't going to be mad, and they probably honestly won't even notice. They're likely just going to thank you and congratulate you for an awesome session at the end of the day. I gotta thank my newest patrons, Maxime, Alan, and Seth, and of course, Jessica and Anna for their continued support. Appreciate that, you guys, honestly. If you found this video useful or at least entertaining, like it and share it. If you want to see more, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I have other ways to support me in the description below. I hope you have a lovely day. Peace out. To your attack roll damage, or your attack roll, to literally to targeting one undead creature